So as a diehard movie buff, I'm literally supposed to speak on something like this. Unfortunately, movies have been terrible in recent times, but it is what it is, and I still love watching movies. But I will call it the BS. Millie Bobby Brown leaves fans puzzled after revealing why she can't watch movies. And we wonder why movies are doing so terrible in Hollywood. I mean, there's a variety of reasons why movies are doing terrible in Hollywood. Nothing's about passion anymore. Nothing's about being creative. It's all a formula and it's all money hungry. There's no imagination behind it anymore. I mean, even the Oscar rules that you have now, you have to have you have to check some sort of diversity list if you want an Oscar. I don't know why you would want an Oscar anymore. If that was on your checklist, you should just throw that out the window at this point, in my opinion. It says here, you might expect Hollywood actors to love watching films, but Millie Bobby Brown has actually revealed the opposite, and fans are baffled. I'd use baffled loosely. I wouldn't say I'm baffled, but it is interesting and it does make you raise a brow. The 20-year-old Brit says in Netflix's new movie, Damsel, which is terrible, we're gonna get to that in a second. She says, I don't watch movies. People come up to me and say, you should definitely watch this movie. It would change your life. And I'm like, how long do I have to sit there for? Because my brain and I don't even like sitting for my own movies. Now, this is actually pretty normal. We know that a lot of actors don't like actually watching their own movies. Like, we've seen this from Johnny Depp and just a bunch of other actors. But to say that you don't like watching movies as a whole is very telling, and it really kind of puts you in, it kind of takes you behind the curtains of Hollywood. It makes me even wonder how she got into acting in the first place. Usually people who like acting are fans of movies. Like, if you like playing basketball, you probably like watching basketball. If you like screenwriting, you probably like watching movies. So it's just certain things aren't adding up here. And this situation kind of reminds me of what happened about a month ago with this complaint that we were getting from popular streamers. So basically, the world's most popular streamers were complaining at the fact that they had to sit there for 9 hours a day streaming. And they were saying, one in specific, his name is Hassan, was saying that streaming is like the hardest job to do. Now, hearing this, people are already raising a brow. Now, maybe it's not that serious, but I'm trying to make the connection that there is a disconnection here. Like, you would think that people who, again, watch movies, but now I'm starting to think that maybe she was never even passionate about this, and her parents maybe just sort of put her into this. Like, how old is she? Like, what? Oh, she's 20 years old. Maybe her parents did get her into this. Anywho, she says, my fiance is the biggest movie buff. He just sits and watches movies all day, and I cannot do that. This is the one thing I can't sit down and do. But I really love Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. I loved Mad Max, so I feel like I'm always channeling that inner badass. She says, I have to be doing something. So I either eat too much because I'm just bored, or I have to be doing something. Baking, grooming a dog, or on my computer. Well, okay, Miss Millie Bobby Brown. It's such a tongue twister for me for whatever reason. Let's dive into some Twitter finger comments and see what the people have to say about this, and if I will agree with them or not. So right here it says, has TikTok ruined a generation? I will say, as a former TikToker myself, by the way, I just did a video on why I quit TikTok. You can check that out if you want to. Disclaimer, I quit TikTok, but I'm not saying I'll never go back on TikTok. I just am not on the app like how I was. But I will say that TikTok definitely does tinkle with your attention span. There was a while I had to literally deprogram myself into watching longer form content again. I would click on YouTube videos and I would just click away from them if I wasn't interested in like the first 3 seconds. It's because I was so used to TikTok, just the constant scrolling and something just catching my attention immediately. I had to make a conscious decision to deprogram myself, which is kind of odd. Somebody says, if she can't be bothered to watch the end result of a project she has worked on for months, then why does she expect anyone else to? I agree with this. It's almost like I'm a musician, right? People or musicians who put out their music obviously love their music, which is why they're putting it out. So it's very odd. Yes, it is very odd. Somebody says you can't really say TikTok has ruined a generation because it hasn't been around for that long for you to see if it has. I mean, yes, it hasn't been around that long, but like I said earlier, it definitely can change how you kind of like, it definitely can change your attention span. I can speak from experience to that. Silver Blue says, but she can watch on her phone. Funny. Now about this Damsel film, because I want to sort of tie this all together. So I don't know if you guys have seen the Damsel film or not, but it is terrible. So me being the comment surfer that I am, maybe I'll change my YouTube channel to comment surfer. Maybe not. I don't know. But I like comment surfer. Being the comment surfer that I am, I browsed all over Reddit and I came across a thread that I had to share on my channel. So I am a fan of dark fantasy. I love dark fantasy. I love Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, fantasy stuff. I'm a huge fan of dark fantasy stuff. So when I seen the trailer for this film, I thought to myself, oh wow, this looks interesting. I'm gonna watch this. It seems like a fun watch. And so I watched it. I watched it with my sister, and the film got worse and worse and worse as the length of it went on. I mean, this film is a very bad film. Needless to say. Anywho, check this out, you guys. So at the top of this thread, it says Damsel 2024 Netflix. It's such a good horror dark fantasy film. Why is no one talking about it? I seen this and I thought to myself, this is odd. Like, did you see the same movie that I saw? It gets worse. I love dark fantasy films. Sadly, there are very few dark fantasy films released each year, so I may be a little biased. So as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, I'm listening to you. The horror elements in this film are superb and the cinematography is top notch. It feels like watching The Lord of the Rings. Hold up, pause, rewind. Let's sort of recap on what are you sure we're talking about the same film, Mr. or Missy? I don't know who you are or who they are in this 2024 crazy climate. I gave this film an 8.5 out of 10, and for Millie Bobby Brown, I gave her a 9 out of 10. What's crazy about it is, like, after I read that, I was I fully understood that we weren't talking about the same film. It's just impossible. We couldn't be talking about the same film. Somebody says this movie was actually garbage. I could have watched it with my eyes closed and still understood what was happening. A whole lot of nothing. And that is exactly what was happening. A whole lot of nothing. Could not agree with you anymore. It was bad and Millie's acting made it worse. Now I will say I personally never thought the acting was bad. I thought the acting was solid for what it was. I will say that the movie itself is bad. The script is bad. That was all bad. I never looked at any bad acting in this. Someone said, oh, well, this movie is terrible. Terrible acting, writing, plot isn't so bad, still entertaining for a free watch. And that's kind of how I feel about it. A lot of her movies, aside from Stranger Things, they are sort of like just background movies to me. Like, let's say maybe you are having, I don't know, maybe some friends over or some sort of event that's happening in the daytime. This movie is on in the background and children are watching it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that is just what it is. That is the vibe of the movie. It is nothing over the top. It is not Oscar worthy. I don't know if that's what they were going for. To be honest with you, I'm questioning why they even wanted to create this film. So all in all, I'm gonna pretty much end this video there. Tell me what you guys think of this whole Millie Bobby Brown situation as far as her not watching movies at all. And on that note, I'm going to departure. I have to go to a bar to meet up with a friend, so I will be seeing you guys next time.